Good evening, and I apologize for the late start for this Monday, March 9th regular school board meeting that has been rescheduled from last week due to the snow. But now I'm kind of regretting because it's so beautiful out. I know. But sorry to keep anyone online waiting. We just need to do the pledge. We have no pledgers, so we're on our own. I think we can do it. I
pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
You can give everybody a flag pin though.
All right, so we have a couple changes to the agenda because we do not have a high school representative, so we're going to delete number 6. And we also do not have in-person report from Mr. Boardman,
Correct.
so we will delete 11. Any other changes?
No.
Motion to accept as amended.
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor? Aye. All right, approval of the minutes from February 3rd, public, non-public, and the February 7th deliberative session minutes.
We do them separately because I don't think I was here for the 3rd.
I'll make a motion to approve February 3rd public and non-public minutes.
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
I abstain.
Okay,
From vehemently. From both? Yeah.
No, I was there on the 7th.
Just the 3rd.
Oh,
Both on
okay.
the
The
third.
third.
both on the 3rd, and then we'll do the 7th.
Yeah, motion to approve February 7th deliberative session
I'll
minutes.
second that one.
Okay, any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All right, we're up to our first round of public comment. Anyone online want to comment? All right then, seeing no hands, we're moving right along to the proposed exception to facility use policy for the craft fair.
So I think everybody knows the craft fair is a huge event. The Greater Barrington Chamber of Commerce took it over a couple years ago and brought it back post-COVID. So they have crafters already asking to secure their table and spot and date, except the facility use policy only allows us to book 6 months out, and we are of course looking at November. So I just wanted to, given that it's policy, wanted to get your thoughts and hopefully blessing on allowing them to secure that date.
What date do they want? I missed.
They had to, hold on, I have them on my calendar.
It's just about the same date every year.
It's like the
Yeah.
first Saturday in November. So they either wanted the first or the second one, depending on details on their end.
That's
So,
It's such a robust community event. I don't see it that's been going on, and until, the only thing I would say is if all of a sudden it became an issue, maybe we'd have to sit back and discuss it, but no, I think we should let them book it and let's get the crafters lined up.
Here, here.
Sounds like a motion.
Is that a motion?
Sure.
I'll second it.
Provided that softball does not need the,
hey.
Any further discussion on that? Okay. All those in favor?
Aye.
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 All right,
Oh, look at that.
stipends.
So made a couple adjustments to the BMS course coordinator and BMS band coordinator based on conversation from the last meeting. So highlighted those so you wouldn't have to try to compare and remember what the items were. So hoping to get those into place so we can have more across-the-board equitable compensation for those hours spent.
Can't remember. Were those the only points we wanted? I just can't remember
I
now.
think so.
I just wanted to double check. There was no, as these two aren't the only musical staff in our district,
Right.
probably a better way to say that, but has there been any discussion or
Yes.
from BES?
Yep.
Because I know.
I actually met with Amanda Ludwig and we talked about the extra activities that she does. I did a follow-up with her when we looked at the hours. So we looked at not only the, so instead of adding little stipends, we just increased the stipends that already exist to
Okay.
encompass the community events.
Okay.
And we looked at the BES band stipend and hours versus chorus and middle school band, BMS, both chorus and middle school. Her compensation was already at a rate where theirs wasn't, given the extra activities like the Saturday regents and the football games.
Okay.
And there was enough of additional things with those people. So although I would say certainly stipended positions aren't meant to be commensurate with your per diem rate of pay, right? So I looped back around with her and explained why we were leaving her stipend where it was at this point, and why, you know, and further explained the additional pieces of these two positions.
All right, thank you.
So absolutely.
Did I read it? Off-property activities totaling roughly 70 hours? Is that, I'm doing this
So
from memory.
the total is
Yeah, for all the events?
for 75 hours for all the events.
Are you fearful there being, what do we compensate like a baseball coach, for instance?
Off the top of my head, I do not know that number, but
Are you afraid there's going to be a cascading effect where somebody's going to say, hey, look, I spend more than 70 hours at the BYA baseball field coaching these kids. That's
so
not our problem.
these all went to the stipend committee first,
Okay.
and Bob Benincasa sits on that.
Great.
So
As
we
long as
make sure that when we're
everyone's
looking at
cool
them,
with
that
it.
they're
All right.
all commensurate.
Great. I just want to make sure it's not.
Absolutely, yeah.
it's not gonna be
We've talked about these for a while.
I didn't say, no, I didn't even bring up softball. I brought up baseball. I just was worried. No, I named
No,
a
it's a-
sport where
it's
you,
a good-
a
yeah.
soccer
Yeah, I mean,
coach,
any
it's all of a
season's
sudden-
gonna be more than 75 hours.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, absolutely.
Especially winter, it's never
Yeah.
ending.
A lot of hours up at the Northwood gym doing basketball. Who knows? I don't know. Okay.
right.
It's been thought about. Great.
Absolutely.
So is there a motion?
I'll make a motion.
I'll second it.
Want to tell her what the motion is?
Oh,
It's all about it. It isn't me.
I want to make a motion for
I stare.
for the whole rest of the meeting.
I
And
don't
motion to
second that.
adjourn. No,
Second.
I make a motion to approve the following stipends as written: Barrington Middle School Drama Tech Coordinator and Barrington Middle School Course Coordinator.
I will second.
And
Oh,
BMS.
and the Barrington Middle School Band Coordinator. And to, yes.
I will second it now that it's properly worded.
Any discussion? Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
Thank you to the committee
Good work.
for putting
Yeah.
this together. Thank you.
All right. Dates and format for Oyster River and Dover joint meetings.
So just want to be able to, now that we were creeping into the springtime when we usually do a Dover meeting, so I just was having thoughts on, you know, do we want to pick a night and stagger the times and try to get them both on one night, one coming at one time, one coming at another, and have Dover come here? Do we want separate nights? You know, hopefully, now that we're past budget season and votes and all the things, it might be a little easier to get some dates on the books.
I'd be inclined to try to do them in one night rather than meeting twice. That's me.
They usually take about an hour, so if we did an hour, took a 15-minute break in case there was some spillover, and then did the next person for an hour.
Yeah, we got to get one out the door.
Right.
That's fine with me. Given the challenge with just getting a date with just Oyster River, getting a date that works with both boards
Might be hard.
might be challenging.
Yep.
But we can certainly try. So if we as a group right now think of some dates that work for us that we can throw out to them. And ultimately, if we have to have 2 one-hour meetings, we can have 2 one-hour meetings, but can shoot for that. We need better snacks though.
Okay, I'm on it. I'll get snacks. And then we could always do it as part of another meeting, but that gets a little complicated. So, but those were all the options I could come up with.
Are we discussing dates right now? Okay.
Sure.
When are we looking?
Well, Oyster River has to get their board sworn in the same week we swear in, I'm assuming. So we
Yeah,
should probably look a couple weeks after that so they can, at that meeting, talk about dates. Right?
Wednesday nights? Wednesday.
They're Wednesdays,
So
yeah.
they'll probably meet next on the 18th would be my guess.
Yeah, and Dover's Monday nights.
Yeah.
Tuesday night, right in the middle.
Can't be the 23rd, there's an event that evening.
Y'all can meet, but I'm in California, the 23rd and the 24th, so,
Ooh.
Okay.
sorry.
We can wait, I mean, we can do it the following week, right?
The 31st?
30, yeah, 30th and 31st.
March.
31st?
One
Yeah.
month. Poor Katie.
Spend that kind of a day.
All right, so do we also want to like
I
offer,
think we need a couple.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
so what are the dates for so we meet the following Tuesday.
Yeah.
So 3:31 I'll throw out there to both, and then we meet on the 7th and the 21st.
So the 14th.
14th.
Yeah. That'd be of April.
Thank you.
We're not meeting over vacation week. No one wants to do that.
No. May 12th?
That'd be
I
fine.
can't do that. But certainly we don't need all 5 of us here.
You offered up the 7th, you said, right, as one of the dates?
Of,
April?
well, that's a regular board meeting night for us.
That's
So
my
right now,
birthday.
we have March 31 and April 14th, those off Tuesdays as options.
Does the 6th work? I know that would be 2 nights in a row, but
I can do the 6th.
I'm just
Well, that's
concerned
but it's
about-
probably Oyster River's board
Oh,
meeting.
yeah,
night.
they have board meetings on Wednesday and then.
Dover would be
Dover's on
the
Monday.
6th, yeah. So. Are they first and third? We could, if we go
I mean,
the,
let's just do a Friday night right at 6 o'clock, right, everybody?
Milos?
Yeah, yeah, exactly.
Well, we could do like a Thursday night. We could offer a Thursday
Yeah.
night too.
I can't do
I can
Thursday
never do
nights.
Thursdays.
Okay.
sorry.
I never do Thursday. Okay.
Sorry.
Any other night I can do.
And you
not
said you
Thursday.
can't do the 12th.
I can't do the
We're
12th.
already meeting on the 19th.
Do we
Let's
just,
start with those 2 dates and then we'll get back. Because
Okay.
if we're getting into May 19th and it's the end of the year, then
but Oyster River's on the same weeks as us, so if they can do a Wednesday in their off week, can we do a Wednesday in their off week? I just don't know about Dover, how often?
Like the 1st or the 15th of April? Not the 1st. Because that would be their first
would
meeting.
be-
The 15th.
Of the 22nd?
Yeah.
So if their Wednesdays, 1st and 3rd would be 1 and 15, so for us would be, the 8th might work for them. Although there's a
No,
big,
they're the same.
the
they're the
8th
same
would be
as
their
us.
first.
So the 1st or 15th.
and the Wednesday is April 1st.
Okay.
Yeah, that would work, but not the 8th, because they'll have a meeting.
Because of what?
Somebody said April 8th. They'll have a meeting on April 8th. So 1st or 15th, maybe.
Oh, I thought they were the 1st and the 3rd of the month. April 1st is the first Wednesday of the month.
Yeah, that's,
I just always put them the day after
Yeah.
us.
So it messes it up.
I think we should invite them all here April 1st and
Yeah.
none of us show up.
We've already done that.
There's a big event at the middle school on the 8th in the evening. The Stratford
yeah, I was gonna
Dems
say,
are there.
I was gonna say that's a big
Yeah, that's,
What is it?
How about the 9th? then?
Democratic congressional.
Oh, you can't do
candidates are
Thursday.
coming.
Ooh.
Until middle school. I can't do Thursdays. But truly, please don't, like, I trust all of you. I'm not trying to get out of it either, sorry. Sorry to Oyster River and Dover, I just am saying, if I'm the
Is-
only cog in this.
Moira, is Dover the 1st and the 3rd?
I think so, but like this is their budget season, so they're meeting with the city
Right, 'cause
council
they're
and things like
city,
that. So
yeah.
they're meeting tonight.
For
Best time to try.
whatever reason, Oyster River has a school board meeting on March 31st, not April 1st.
Oh, good. So,
And then they are off us.
I could,
after
well, I mean,
that.
I'm available the first. Hopefully they take it seriously, but.
all right, so I'm going to take March 31st off the, no need to take notes on this.
I already deleted it.
The board discussed
The
it.
board just have the 14th.
Katie's like, I'm not gonna be typing this
All right,
live.
but then maybe they're available April 1st, so we
might be.
could.
Yeah, I
offer
could,
them
I could do
instead.
April 1st.
All right, so
Schedule it, not schedule it.
4/1,
April
4/14. Monday, the 6th. Although we don't know what's up with Dover. But it might be another option for Oyster River. I don't know.
Yeah, I could do Monday the 6th for Oyster River. if we need to split up, which is starting to look like we're gonna need to split up the,
It's gonna be challenging, yeah.
the dates too.
We usually go pretty late with the Dover meeting.
We do go, we usually meet after the budget season has started, for sure. I only know because the last time I went, it was very warm out.
The Dover meetings have all been in May,
Yeah.
at the end of May.
There we go.
Yep, I just did a search in my calendar for the last, for 4 years in a row. It's
Okay, so then
the end of May.
we have,
So how about we try just do Oyster River in April?
Yep.
I could throw it out to Dover to see if those 2 dates work, if we get lucky. Otherwise, we'll ask them for some May dates. Does that sound better? We could sit here for the next half an hour looking at our calendars.
Yeah.
I don't think it was used to be this hard in the past. But
this is an exceptionally hard year.
Well, and I think maybe at the start of next school year, like we
Yeah.
set the dates
yeah,
and say, like,
reach out to them early and
yeah, and
Yeah.
get them on the calendars.
yeah,
so
it just
that
gets more and more challenging for some reason.
All right. So we're on to, oh, Emily, you're up.
All right. Ready. Okay, so
Yes.
your report that I have is for you in your packets. I also have some slides that have highlights from the report as well as a couple of other things because I've now had a week to look at them and think about them and talk with more people. So I've got a couple of new additions and I'll tell you what is new when we are up there. So first thing that I just want to remind you is that there are 2 different views in iReady. There's a 3-level view and a 5-level view. Teachers only have a 5-level view, administrators have both. I feel like my concerns when I sort of onboarded are that things weren't used very consistently and it was hard to keep track of that. So I'm being careful whenever I present it to like write in what view that I'm using so that we all can be talking about the same thing, either at the board level or internally when we share with teachers. So this first slide, you have the upper right quadrant, which is our placement, and it's going to include the placement changes that is in your report. I didn't give you this by school. I had just done it by grades, and I thought it was worth just looking at it by school. So we're starting out just thinking about growth, and just as a reminder, we always want to be in the upper right quadrant for both achievement and for performance. That's our goal for certainly for end of the year, but if you're not there at mid-year, makes it harder to think about how you're going to get there. So as far as growth, I'll talk about BES and ECLC first, and then we'll talk about BMS and the red circle that's there. But BES firmly in the high growth and high achievement for mid-year for reading. ECLC is kind of right there on the line. It's right at that 50th percentile in terms of growth, but their achievement is on the high side. And then BMS is circled in red. It looks really high, which I would love to celebrate, but it is really high because they used AI, Google Lens, on their mid-year reading diagnostic. So the good news is
Are we
that
going to encourage BES and ECLC to do the same?
sure. That's what we want to. So the good news about it is that they cared how they did, right? And so it is harder to get 8th graders interested in iReady. They cared enough that they used some inauthentic measures. So we kind of used it as a learning opportunity. We asked people to retake. We got a few people who did, but we're still looking at individual growth for some students at like 600%, right? They've gone up 3 or 4 grade levels, which we know is not an accurate representation.
To be young and think that that would
So
raise a few eyebrows.
Yeah, and the other hard part about that is just that that sets them on their MyPath for the rest of the year, and so their MyPath lessons are going to be very difficult without the use of Google Lens to do well on. So we are monitoring that, and then as adjustments are needed, right, that probably gives us a little bit more insight, but we already kind of know what was happening. So I just want to say that unfortunately, and it was really kind of a bummer because Elizabeth and I met with the 8th grade ELA teacher today, and she is new to us and was super excited to see her results. And she's like, I can't really get a lot of information from this. So that piece was challenging. So as far as the growth in reading and the achievement in reading, the growth is pretty good, and I did in your packets, I just did grades 1 through 7. I manually pulled out 8th grade so I could look at what that growth looks like. So their growth average between grades 1 and 7 in reading was 83%. So we expect 50% at the mid-year. 100% growth is 1 year of growth. So they're at 83% at mid-year in those grades 1 through 7. So growth, that is a great place to be. Unfortunately, achievement is not where we want it to be. In fact, I think it's lower than last year. It's hard to pull it out because of the 8th grade, but it definitely, we're at 58% green, but it looks lower, and we'll bump into that in the next slide. Okay, so this one you have where I broke it out by grade level, and so this is going to combine both their achievement and their growth. So I would say that everybody is in that upper right quadrant. 6th and K, you can see, are kind of right on the line there in that 50%, so kind of neither high growth or high achievement, but right there in the middle. But every other grade level is solidly there. And even with the 8th grade, with the AI, they would still be in the high growth, high achievement. Just looking at the, kind of parsing through individually the students.
Yes, because it wasn't the whole, just to preface
Yeah.
for the recording, it was not every student.
It was not.
Right, it was
No.
not every student.
Right.
So that
And
is
yeah.
not a grade-wide,
Yeah.
it was not a grade-wide incident.
Yeah.
So there's enough data for you to extrapolate that even
Right.
without those specific outliers, they would still be in high growth, high achievement, correct?
Yes.
Correct.
Yep.
Thank you.
Okay, so
And we think that the growth for 6th grade at 140% is completely accurate?
So I asked the same question, and we looked at their historical data, and the teacher who has moved from 8th to 6th, and historically her growth is just kind of off the charts. So, yes.
Yep.
Dumb question from an old man. They were doing this on their Google Chromebooks or whatever?
Yes.
So they're able to pull up the Google Gemini or Google Lens or whatever it is?
They were.
Not anymore.
That's what I was wondering. So we fixed that?
Yes. So it was fixed.
off.
It was fixed by the next day, so that we know that our math results, which I'm going to show you,
Yeah.
were not impacted by
Okay.
AI help. So yes, and it's because it was a Google plugin. It wasn't visible on the teacher side with their monitoring system, so they fact checked it afterwards.
They're crafty.
So
Well, it's funny. I've read a report from the NYU provost of artificial intelligence, and they're struggling with it at the college level. How do you integrate it? Because everyone's going to use it. But when you have an honest conversation with students, at college kids at NYU aren't quite sure where it's cheating and where it's just it's a learning aid, and because they're afraid if they delineate it anywhere, it's going to be taken away from them completely. And anyway, so we're not the only district, university or educational institution that's struggling
No.
with the new world order.
no, and I think we have those same discussions on the AI policy committee, just trying to think through
Good.
how do we teach students to use a tool that is going to reshape a lot of things about the world while not having them cognitively offload their work.
While it's still
To it.
evolving.
Yeah.
Building the ship, we're trying to build the ship while
Yes.
it's flying, yes.
So as far as the reading, right, the 6th, huge highlighting growth. And the reason that they're not really high in proficiency is that grade level came in very low. And so also today, so Elizabeth and I are meeting over the last week with every teacher for math and for ELA on their individual class scores for iReady, as well as just kind of next steps and how they use that. And so, 6, we looked at some individual students who bumped up like 2 grade levels between the beginning of the year and now. So that's definitely a highlight to celebrate. All right, so next up, same thing. You do not have this school level in math, but you do have the placement for math for the upper right. And so math overall, we see is lower in the high performance, high growth than the reading, which is historically the case here and everywhere else. But really, ECLC and BMS, who we know took this correctly and accurately, are in the high growth, high achievement, and BES is kind of right there on the line. Again, we'd like to move that needle for math. And so for math, their K through 8 average. Sorry, let me just scroll down a little bit.
While you're doing that,
Yep.
I wanted to call out, so am I reading your note correctly, that for growth, the highest rate of growth is 8th grade at 92%, which is the grade that had a lot of comments about the math teacher? Am I
Yes.
making a...
Yes. So the growth for students in 8th grade, they have almost achieved a year's growth in a half a year. So they're expected to have 100% by the end of the year. They have 92% right now. So yes.
That must have been an interesting and very enlightened conversation, I'm sure,
doing a
for
great job.
Elizabeth. And
Yeah.
I'd be interested to hear how that gets delivered, that communicated out to families. That'd be interesting.
Yeah, and I mean, right, the teacher was very pleased when we kind of talked through that piece
Yeah.
and just that's kind of paying off that reorganization. And yeah, we'll talk a bit more about that. So the growth for K-8, the average was 54%. We expect 50, so average-wise, we're good. But when we dive a little bit deeper in that, it's really not even. So the 8th grade has that highest at 92%. But 3rd, 4th, and 5th grade are all between 33 and 36%. So they are not even making the expected growth in those 3 grades. So a lot of conversations about kind of why that is and how that's happening. The placement distribution, the placement is the same in math for last year for mid-year. So we are at 44% in the green, those two combined. But the difference in math is that the yellow and red, we have fewer of the red. So the red is 2 or more grade levels, it's 2 and 3. So we have grown our yellow a little bit this year in the mid-year and shrunk the red compared to last year. So that's a positive that we're moving students out of that area where they're really far behind. All right, so the next one you do have, this is the grade by grade. And so you can see that 8th kind of heads above all the grades as far as both growth and performance. You can see that we're struggling in the 3rd, 4th, and 5th in the growth. So they're still meeting in that high performance, but they're not growing as we would expect them to grow. The other ones are in that upper right quadrant. So really, the other component to think about, and I did put this in words in your packet, but not necessarily in a chart. Uh-oh. Can you refresh that? The domains? I don't see the chart in there. Give it one more go. See it on mine. But I'll just tell you about it.
It's on the screen and not, that's so strange.
It looks like this.
Oh.
So,
Google plugin.
so you have it written kind of in words, but when I look at the domains, so we have 4 for math. We have number and operations, algebraic thinking, geometry, and measurement and data. 3 of the 4 are the highest that they've been in the last 4 years for the middle school, for number and operations, algebraic thinking, and for geometry. The measurement and data is a little bit lower, but some of the, look at that. Thank you.
Nice work.
Some of the work that I've been doing this year with teachers and just kind of having conversations is that we need to be honest that everything that we teach is not of equal value. There are some things that are of higher value, especially when you think about things vertically and what ties from one year to another. So we've been spending a lot of time looking at Achieve the Core, which is an organization that just sort of shows teachers in schools how you get to, for math in particular, how you get to algebra success. So what do you need to do in kindergarten to get there? What do you need to do in 4th grade? And it looks at standards as essential standards that you have to spend most of your time on, supporting standards, and then kind of nice to have. And so we're starting to do the work where we're looking at our math programs and at our achievement and trying to figure out where are there places that we really need to be spending more time to get there, and where are places that we could spend a little bit less time. And so measurement and data is a place that we are spending a little bit less time, and you can see that we're at 41%, our highest ever was at 44%, but that does not have as great an impact as some of these other areas. So when like the middle school focuses their success time on number and operations, they're really looking at that to kind of focus for everyone, their fluency scores, and we are starting to see some increases there. So they're small, right? But I think that part of the domain is kind of a highlight and headed in the right direction as far as what we're teaching and how we're emphasizing it. The domain scores at the elementary were flat, so I don't have like a highlight that I want to point out for that. That is something that we definitely need to still be looking at. All right, so other kind of next steps, important pieces. So I've gotten the report, sort of some of the analysis, but I think big picture, MOI data is more than just a talking point to the school board. It's something that they should be using, teachers should be using in their classes to change instruction for their students. So those are the conversations that I'm having in conjunction with the principals at all of the schools. And I think they're all tackling it in different ways, which I think is kind of exciting. So in the ECLC report, Laura talked about this WIN model for math. So if we think back to the fall, so the expectations this year were that people use iReady as the program is designed, so that everyone gets at least 30 minutes in reading and in math each week, which is the minimum recommendation from iReady. We were not achieving that. So it's hard to say it's not working if we're not even using the program as intended. So there's been a big push this year for that. Kindergarten has not really been using that MyPath at all. They were very resistant at the start. So we went over to Exeter just to observe and look and see how they were using it. And then as a result of that visit, there's a group of teachers that decided that they wanted to kind of pilot that model where students are getting more small group instruction in math based on what they need, and then they're having their iReady time as well. So we spent a bunch of time planning in January, using their mid-year data. They just started right after break, so they're in week 1 of, I guess we're in week 2 now, of implementing this and just having students meet in groups of 3 or 4 with paraprofessionals, with teachers. We've got a whole bank of lessons that they've used to kind of fill in gaps, so to use that data. So that's called a WIN model, what I need, so students are getting this directly. I will say also that 4th grade said that they used to do that, and as soon as we talked about it at the elementary school in their staff meeting, 4th grade was like, we want to do it. We want to figure out right now, how are we going to get students in these groups? So just some examples of kind of using this information right away.
What about 3rd and 5th? Because those are you said 3rd, 4th, and 5th you're having on.
For math.
And 4th is embracing it, and 3rd and 5th, are they doing something different?
So I would say that they don't have a specific, like, using it right away. They've looked at the data to see where they are short and trying to think about how to use that in their classrooms. So at the last staff meeting, we worked through all of the math, and then I basically had a question at the end that said, what are you going to do with this next week in your class? Like, I want to know what you're going to do next week. You have this information now for your groups. And I just pulled out a couple of things. So use the information from the instructional groupings to work in small groups of students during success time. So iReady will put all of your students in 5 groups, depending on what they need, and they'll provide you with lessons right there and say, this is where your students are short, this is what they need. A lot of people have not been using that tool. So having access to that tool, I think that's applicable in all of the grades. Notice my reds and yellows has significant gaps in understanding base 10 concepts. I'd like to give them supplement lessons in that area. So it really targets sort of what's that missing knowledge, as opposed to just thinking about it as a color. What do they need to get there? So just knowing what to teach them. And then this was 4th grade, looking at creating intervention groups in 4th grade for math. So met with the case manager, talked about how we can group and pull students. So I'm excited to kind of see what happens with kindergarten and 4th and see if that's a model that we could roll into the other grades as well. It's things that they have done in the past and has kind of fallen away for whatever reason, and just sort of thinking about working that through. I have spent a lot of time with both 3rd and 4th on their SAS data from last year, and so that can be useful in looking sort of at instructional gaps. So if the whole grade level is weaker or stronger in a certain area, is that something they need to focus on? So I met with them in December with third grade, and so they've been incorporating some of that into their instruction to kind of think about where to add and subtract there. Yeah, and then as far as the math component goes, there's just been a lot of work, I think. So BMS, we've had another math pullout day since we last met. So Elizabeth and I meet with all the math teachers. We talk about things vertically. We talk about organization. So 8th grade, for example, reorganize kind of the structure and the way that they teach their lessons, in what order. It was a little tricky at the beginning of the year because they started with some more challenging material, which made students and families therefore not feel as successful. But now that they've kind of moved through that, we can see that we're getting that growth. So I guess the lesson for me is that if we look at it strategically and think it through, there is growth that we can make both in achievement and in how much they're learning, how quickly. So I definitely was hoping to have more in terms of the achievement. Like I was really hoping for mid-year, fingers were crossed, right, that what we've thrown at it would see a difference there. We don't see a huge difference in the achievement yet, but we are seeing some difference in growth, and we are seeing just kind of a willingness and an interest in trying things a little bit differently to get students what they need right now, as opposed to just saying like, that's my mid-year data, that's interesting, but there's not a lot I can do with it. Just instead sitting down and giving teachers time to work through and think about what are they gonna do with that right now to get students what they need. So that piece has been exciting.
Thank you.
Well,
Can we also work on teachers not referring to children as colors?
Yeah,
Kind of really,
yep. Yeah, and I think that,
I think it's easy, but like that's not how we should be referring to children. They're in the green, they're in the blue.
yeah, and I will say also that those are also overall components, and there are, you know, when you look at the breakdown, right, you have some students who might be in the green in one domain, but in the yellow in another domain, and that's important information as well. So it's more than just kind of that overall score, is what does that actually mean and what is that telling you? So that part's important too.
can you go back to the, that right there?
Yep.
I mean, I think that's the takeaway, right? So the first year that we've really fully embraced it, we're seeing progress.
Yep.
And I think there's no denying that.
Right.
So it works. And imagine if, you know, I can't imagine what's going to happen next year,
Right.
you know, after we embrace it for year 2. You know, that's terrific work.
So,
And
yep.
thanks to all of them that are buying into it. I mean, I know it's hard, so.
Yeah.
Look at that, greens.
There was a huge master's schedule and mind shift, right?
Yeah.
Like, where does this fit in your week?
Yep.
And it's not to sit here and say that we're nailing it every single week. Like, schools are dynamic. So we're still, I think the message is, like, we're starting to see that the growth is improving, and there's a lot of opportunity there. And let the program do the work for you for part of the week. It's only a half an hour in each subject area. And so I am too am excited. I happened to be at the ECLC the first day they did their win cycle, and so Laura and I ran down to the kindergarten hallway real quick because I thought, okay, let's see how quickly 5- and 6-year-olds on day 1 can do this, right? In less than 4 minutes, they were already in their classrooms, a new classroom to them, in their small groups, learning each other's names if they didn't know them, and doing instruction, all in less than 4 minutes' time. I mean, a handful of little ones walking down the hallway, we're going to Miss Cole's class. We don't know where that is, but we're going, you know, and so it just shows you even your youngest learners are very flexible and adaptable and, you know, ready for new challenges. So I'm excited to see where that goes.
So we take the mid-year data, and then you go and say, I want you to course correct by next week, right? When's our next opportunity to do that? When do you look at it next and say,
So that's the hard part, because we don't have.
and as a corollary, I mean, I guess you say by next week I want to see how you're going to course correct.
Yep.
When's the next chance you have to follow up on that and be like, you didn't course correct, or you're not course correct, or you
Yeah.
are course correct? Great job. You know,
So we won't have the iReady data until the end of the year for that.
that's my point.
Yes, but in the interim,
Yep.
so for example, for reading, there is another assessment that the teachers are going to be giving their students that's part of iReady that we haven't used before. That is, they're going to do right before report cards as a data point. So we're going to have a reading component for that. For the math, I think it's going to be more of kind of the admin observations. So principals, assistant principals, just seeing if they are doing that component and having those conversations. But I think that having me there for kind of those bigger conversations and the weekly CTT meetings. So I'm in their weekly CTT meetings to talk about what are we seeing. So what are you seeing on your next math assessment, right? Your in-class assessment. That's going to give us some information too. It's not always exactly correlated with iReady, right? But you can look at that information and have more real-time feedback on how the students are doing and what they need. I think that the challenge with math, so we have asked teachers to switch in reading to doing some small group instruction as a best practice. So pulling small groups together to what they need. Our math curriculum is not set up that way. The curriculum is really set up as a whole class and they have practice. But what do you do with students who are excelling and need to push ahead? What do you do with students who need some reteaching? So it's trying to figure out how we can get some more of that small group time in. So that's kind of the big shift that we would be looking for. And some people are ready to kind of pivot and try that right away. And some people are saying, I need a little bit more time to plan that and for it to be successful and thoughtful, right? So they might be more interested in doing that after we do some summer working components, but trying to figure out other ways to get students to where they need to be.
Would it be possible to, like, maybe next month, get a readout on, like, by grade level, how they've responded to the mid-year data points and how they've course corrected?
What they've done to
Yeah.
change their instruction.
Yeah. What, how they're acting upon the data, I guess. And that's some,
Yeah, I think that would be easy because I think a lot of them have already kind of done that with
Yeah.
me, right? In smaller or larger groups about what they're going to use.
That's great.
So, yeah.
We're doing math vertical teaming as part of PD Day tomorrow and writing rubrics. So
Yeah, so just an opportunity for them, especially when you think about that 4th and 5th grade or even that K and 1, right? When you're in different buildings, just having that opportunity for them to talk about those math skills. So they're meeting both up and down. So like 1st grade, we'll meet with kindergarten first, and then they'll meet with 2nd grade. So by the end, we'll have kind of an idea, K through 8, what does each group think, right? Or some strengths, some areas to spend some more time. So opening up that component right there. And the other thing that I did want to mention too is that while we have made it clear that an expectation for 30 minutes, at every grade level, the first time that everyone hit that was in December, the 2nd week in December. So we were close, right? The 20 to 28 minutes, but I think we're still, right, we're still not to the point where we can say that all year students have been having 30 minutes. So, and then you have kind of a pause in January because they don't do it when they're testing. So we had a couple week testing. So we're just kind of getting back up to speed and being able to do that.
My last question is about those kids that were go-getters. You said that now that they're doing college-level math because of the ChatGPT thing, is there a way to go into iReady and reset them so they can? Okay, great. Okay.
Yes.
Perfect. So it's not going to be useless for the rest of the year.
This is all great, and thank you, Emily. But back in the fall, I asked you a question about the effect size of iReady, because their research shows a great effect size. Were you able to find independent research on the effect size?
I have, and it is, I will say, different per grade level and different per subject. So I did a very deep dive for kindergarten because they wanted me to show it to them, which is fine. So for kindergarten, I found a study from the state of Utah that independently evaluated 3 different programs, all computerized, for K through 3 for reading, and iReady came out heads and shoulders above the others as far for kindergarten. And then higher, but not quite as much for grades 1 and 2. So that was some independent research that I looked at. And as far as math at the upper levels, I have not yet, and I haven't looked at it in a bit. But I did dive into a bunch of different evaluators looking at effectiveness and stuff. And so they do have an effectiveness that has been determined outside of iReady itself, but it really depends on the grade and the subject. So it's not kind of a blanket, yes, it's great for, like, it's higher for some
And I guess I
areas than
want the
others.
district to reflect on that and whether or not this 30 minutes for each grade level for each subject is the most useful time, right? Maybe it is more that they're in this, I mean, I think the smaller groups rather than online is probably more bang for your buck, but like if that's what the research shows, then I want us to kind of react to that rather than have kids spend an hour and it's not really all the best tool for them at that grade level or that developmental stage, I don't know.
Yeah, and I think that by the end of the year, I think we will have that information to look at, right? So once we can say we've actually used the program effectively and where has it gotten us, I think that's at the point when which we determine kind of what to be used. I think there's a lot of questions for next year too around, ELA adoption. So some of the programs that we're looking at have programs that are very similar to iReady that do that, right? So would that adoption take over the iReady reading component? Possibly, right? So just kind of looking at those as well. The nice thing about the iReady component, so iReady is not designed for students to just kind of go off in a corner. It is designed for teachers to be checking in and helping out and asking questions, right? But that does not always happen, just depending on where students are. And so the nice thing about the math win model, the small group, is that you have a small group of 3 to 5 students sitting at a table with a teacher, another small group of 3 to 5 sitting in a small group with a para, and then the students are working on their iReady in the middle. So they're there, but they're doing it independently. They're getting their iReady time and they're swapping. So they're getting kind of personalized 15 minutes on iReady based on what they have, and then they're getting 15 minutes personalized with an actual person. So their iReady minutes, even last week, they said that by Wednesday they had met their goals, and they've been struggling to meet that. And so also by doing this model where they're getting instruction in person, they're also able to meet that for iReady. So that's a plus.
I think that'll be really interesting to look at when we have our retreat as a discussion for the whole year data in comparison to effectiveness, especially by grade. Because I bet you're right. I bet we're going to see it's different by, it's going to be different by grade. I can guarantee that. Yeah. Great question.
We only have them for a limited time. I want to
Yeah.
maximize what we're doing.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you for this. This is great.
Thank you.
All right. Your favorite part?
Oh, policy.
Can I say one thing before we go into policy? Because I just see my last note. It's upcoming and I'll report out on it. But we also are going to a full day math put on by Demonstrated Success, which is an organization that does a lot of data work around the state. They have the contract with the state to work on a lot of math components. So we're using a grant. I don't know which one Bridget would have to say, but we have a representative from every grade level plus administrators that are going, I think in a couple weeks, to do that pull-out day just on kind of mathematical thinking and on also like mathematical nervousness isn't quite the right word for it, but just the apprehension that students kind of learn over time around a resistance to math. So we're also going to be diving into that. So that'll be another thing I'll report out on at some point soon.
Is anyone from Barrington doing the OGAP training that's being offered locally?
We're actually trying to host one, so we're working on what that's going to look like. But we've had quite a few people go, so we also need to survey who's taken which ones at this point to make sure we get the right one here.
We have four right now in the one at Laconia.
Yeah.
So we have 2 doing the proportional and 2 doing the additive. Now you can do policies.
All right.
Do policies. I'm going to skip to the second reads first, just because we made no changes to the last time. So there's a host of them, because policy committee has been busy. And then we have just started looking at the B folder, which is school board policies. The first 2 are governed by RSA, so recommending to rescind those. And then the rest of them, although some are optional and some are recommended, and we have historically been trying to stick with priority policies only, a few of them have come up in the past, like what do you do when you have an open seat and things like that. We also have never had our oath of office as part of a form, as part of the policy. So it just makes sense to have those all in there because they go together as one nice little package. So the administrative procedures, how elections run, the oath of office, the scope of school board member authority, the qualifications, how you handle a resignation, a removal, and then vacancies and unexpired term fulfillments. And we stuck with NHSBA's format for those.
And just to clarify, BB, school board legal status, is being rescinded or actually both of these are rescinded because they're covered in the ed, in the ed rules. So they're not, it's not because we are saying we don't believe
Right.
in those things. It is that they're already covered by state law. So there's not an opportunity for us to just be like going crazy and making our own rules. Those are rules that are already set upon for us.
Right, you don't
So
have a choice.
We do not have a choice. So, and for good reason, of course.
Yes, yeah.
All right, anyone have any questions or comments on any of the policies? All right, Carrie, let her rip.
Okay, we can do all of these together, or did you want me to do rescind separate? Have you done it that way
So
before?
the second
Want me to do
read,
first read?
Garth probably wasn't part of doing the first read on them, so I don't know if you want to step out of that part, Garth.
Oh, the first read, yeah.
Well, he can still
can still
vote
do
on
Yeah,
it.
okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep,
So
other
I'll
than
just
that,
just run them right through?
Yeah.
Okay. I make a motion to rescind policy BB and BBA, to approve for first read BAAA, BBB, BBBF, BBAA, BBBA, BBBC, BBBD, BBBE, and to approve for second read EBBCA, FEH, GBEBB, IMBA, JF, JLCB, JLCD-R1, JLCK, JLD, JLCJA. It does not have a, there's a little underscore after A. Get rid of that one. JICH, IHBG, IJ, and finally IJK.
I just have a question, and I should have noticed it before. Why does BBB have a dash F and it's not like with the other BBBs?
so on my doc here, it is actually a -1,
Not F.
not F.
So,
Yeah, okay. Just kidding. Pretend that's what I said the first time.
I heard one.
Definitely what you said. I'm going to check the policy itself.
I'll second what Carrie said.
You don't want to repeat them?
And it should be
on the
delineated.
policy, it says
It
F.
says F as well, yeah. On
It's
the
the form for
on the
the
doc, it
oath
says
of
one.
office. It's
So I
the form.
think, so what I remember is when we were discussing it, is that it's a little different. So it might actually be F, is because it's like one of the only ones that we're just reading. Like, there's not another policy where we're like just reading the form out, but to formalize the form in here is probably
yeah,
a good
the F I think actually
process.
stands for form.
So maybe the F
But
stands
I'll
for
double
Okay,
double
so
check.
not a
Double
1,
check.
back to F. So Carrie was right in the first place. Strike her.
That's what I heard.
Strike.
My doc is incorrect.
All right. Does anyone have a second for all that alphabet
second
soup? Okay, all right. Any further discussion? Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
All right, public comment. I see no public.
We have one
Meeting
What?
was not
one
exciting.
attendee.
Okay. All right. Going once? Going twice? All right. There's a hand up. Oh, all right.
Wait, hold on.
Oh,
Right.
hi. Sorry.
Your one attendee has a question,
Hey.
comment / everything. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. Lynn Geyer, Province Road, for the record. First and foremost, thank you, Moira, for pointing out and bringing up the effectiveness size of the iReady 30 minutes, because as a parent who sees that my kid sits on a computer for 30 minutes a week on iReady, and then sees her test scores go down, I would question the effectiveness of that for specific individual students, and making sure that our educators are assessing and using that data point when making instructional choices for our kids who are not making growth, even though they're on for 30 minutes. The other thing is that I would wonder, and I know this is not a time for responses of questions, but I'd just like to pose, and I can always email Emily after, but knowing the philosophy behind Emily and Elizabeth only meeting with ELA and math teachers about the iReady data, when social studies and science teachers, although they specifically focus on a content area, are also reading and writing and math teachers as well. As a former social studies teacher, there were days where I taught reading and writing more than our ELA teachers. And so if we're talking about taking data-driven instruction, why is the conversations only being happened with those 2 teachers instead of the whole grade level team? If we really want to make sure that our instruction throughout the day is really data-driven. So I don't expect Emily to answer a question now. I just wanted to pose that, and I can always email her.
All right, thank you, Lynn.
Thanks,
Thank
Lynn.
you.
That's a good question. Tag, you're it, Emily. All right. Anything else, Lynn? Nope, she's muted again. All right. All right, then. Seeing that's our public comment, is there anyone who'd like to make a motion to go back into non-public?
I'll make a motion for citing RSA 91-A:3 2C and 2A, looks like.
So to be clear, we're talking about 3 things, but 2 of them fall under 2C. That's why it's listed that way. All right, thank you.
Thanks so much.
All right, we'll go to your.
Wait,
Jason Baker.